Hey everybody, and welcome to the Gel Press YouTube channel. So I am super excited to be using the new ribbon plate that just came out. I'm going to be using our super fun and easy alcohol ink technique on this particular project. So in keeping with the pink theme, I'm using 3 colors of alcohol ink and just lightly braying it across the surface of my plate to kind of give a kind of marbled texture to my plate and my coloring whenever I get done with this. I'm also going to be taking just a texture plate. This is from Carabell Studios, and adding that to my project, and you can see I'm getting just great texture in kind of in between all of my colors I've got going on. And if you're familiar with this particular technique, once my alcohol ink is dry, I'm just going to add a thin layer of white acrylic paint. And what that's going to do is it's going to allow my alcohol ink to lift off of my project, or off of my plate, sorry, onto my project. I love it. Look how crisp it turns out. And that's one thing I love about using this alcohol ink technique is you just get a really great crisp image. And I had neglected to prime my page with some clear gesso, so I'm just adding that real quick right now. And because I am using that alcohol ink, my print is permanent, so I can just go right over it with my clear gesso and then hitting it with the heat gun to get it nice and dry. And I want to keep this project kind of simple because I want my ribbon to be the star with all of its yummy texture. So I'm just using a Faber-Castell PITT Artist pen just to give it some shadow and give it some depth. And I'm just using just a gray, and then I'm going back in with my white Sharpie to kind of give that highlight that like it was an actual 3D ribbon. It was kind of catching the light. And of course, I'm hitting that with my heat gun just to make sure that's dry before I move on. And I want to give this something, a color to pop against. So I'm wetting my paint down just a little bit with some water and just taking a bright yellow watercolor and kind of giving it a glow. I kind of like the idea of like this ribbon symbolizing strength and just this yellow kind of being almost like, I don't know, like superhero yellow, like this glow, this power behind the ribbon. And so I kind of just liked that idea whenever I was kind of coming up with this concept. And if you're familiar with watercolors, you know that if you add a little bit of salt to it, it not only allows your watercolors to dry faster, but it also adds a little bit of texture as it dries. And I went ahead and set that aside to dry, and I couldn't find the letters that I wanted in the color I needed. And so I have these really old letters from, I think it's like basic gray, and I needed them to be black. So I'm just adhering them down to a piece of wax paper. And it's going to allow me to be able to paint them in the color that I need. I didn't have enough of the larger letters, so I had to kind of start over on that. And so you can see I'm just spelling out my words, "You are strong," on my with my letters on my wax paper. And I'm just going to take some plain black acrylic. This one is Americana from DecoArt, and just paint those black. I think this is a great technique if you have maybe stickers you've had for a long time that are maybe a color you don't like anymore. I just think rather than just having them sit there and be wasteful and just be, they can be reused and renewed in a new way. So I am cleaned off all of the salt from my dry project, and then I'm just going to add my title using my stickers that are now dry. And you can see they just easily peel up off of my wax paper. If you have thicker letters, this would be a super fun way to gel press on them. So you could lay your letters out on your wax paper and then gel press your letters to give them some great texture, and a great way to color them all really fast. So that might be a really fun technique for you to try too, gel pressing some funky letters up. And so I've got my words, you are strong, down, and I'm just going to go back in and just add just some emphasis and with a black Sharpie. This is the gel pen. If you're not familiar with it, it's super great for writing over paint. However, don't let the name Sharpie fool you. It is not permanent. So definitely make it a last step, because if you try to add any wet mediums on top of it, it will completely pull up and probably jack up your project. Just a little word of knowledge from someone who's jacked up a project. So you can see I'm going to go back in and just add a little bit more, bit more shadow with my Faber-Castell pen, because I really want to give my ribbon just a little more depth, and just adding that shadow just a little bit. And I love how my yellow makes my red stand out, which makes my black stand out. And I think it turned out really the way I wanted it. So I'm going to add just a couple little finishing touches with a white pen, just to give it a little bit more pop. And of course, I always tell people to date your entries so that you can always remember when you did them and what you were going through and what they meant to you. Thanks so much for stopping by, and I'll see you guys next time.